You may remember that Trump always talks about the world is laughing at us.
Right.
All of that is just projection because the world is laughing at him. And I think it's notable that every time a Democrat wins, the world celebrates. You see everybody out in the streets in big American cities celebrating. They're happy. They feel joy. And then if you watch the news, you see the same celebrations all across Europe and Australia and all across our alliances around the globe. When Trump wins, you don't see that.
Mm-mm.
The only people you see celebrating are our adversaries.
Right.
And the world is laughing at Donald Trump, and they have been for a long time, but they pity the Americans because we used to represent strength, stability, and an idea of working towards, and ensuring democracy for the world, but no more. Listen to this clip.
Republican Party under Donald Trump, and particularly the right wing of the Republican Party, are very sympathetic to Vladimir Putin. I mean, I've been with Trump and Putin. Trump is in awe of Putin. He's when you see Trump with Putin, as I have on a few occasions, he's like the 12-year-old boy that goes to high school and meets the captain of the football team. My hero. It is really creepy. It's really creepy.
So that's the former Prime Minister of Australia, and he's been around them. And this is what, Hillary Clinton and others warned about and have consistently warned about. Kamala Harris said Putin would eat you for lunch. And he's already eating him for lunch. He's saying, no, I'm not calling him first. He's going to have to call me first. They rolled out the announcement of Trump's victory by showing all of Melania Trump's porn photos of her, lesbian porn and nude photos and all of her modeling stuff, which I don't give a shit about, but it's pretty disrespectful to an incoming first lady. And I think it's a way of saying, listen up, you're on my leash. I'm walking you, buddy.
Well, what's so interesting about it is then we have, and I don't know if it's true, but one of a top counterintelligence spy, whatever word you want to use, saying that Trump is compromised with Putin. Like he's saying it from Russia. Yes, this is a true thing. And then you have the podcast people. You have Elon Musk on the phone with Putin all the time. I mean, there are glaring red flags about his relationship with Putin. There's no question about it.
Well, and there always has been.
Always.
And basically, the Russian propaganda machine and their troll farms have infiltrated the American psyche. And then you can see our friends, the good liars, who go around and interview people at Trump rallies. And they say, who would you rather see win, a Democrat or Putin? And they say Putin. And it's amazing how much progress he's made with the psychological warfare through social media, trolls, podcasts, etc. But this is going to be a complete bend over for Vladimir Putin. And I'm curious because Marco Rubio used to be a very outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin. And Rex Tillerson, who was the incoming Secretary of State in 2016 after Trump's first victory, Marco Rubio in Senate confirmation hearings really took him to task and really painted the picture of Vladimir Putin being a dictator. And we saw, Marco Rubio go around and warn everybody. Trump's a danger. He's a con artist. Don't vote for him, blah, blah, blah. And then you see him, basically being walked on a leash. Like he's like a little fluffy chihuahua. And Trump's just batting little Marco around. And now he's Secretary of State. So it makes me wonder, what happened? What happened there? Because something happened for you to go through all of that, to be so emphatically anti-Russia. And Russia is our adversary. And basically an adversary for United States democracy is Donald Trump. And now you're a Secretary of State? I would say somebody needs to look into that. But the people in charge that could look into that are the fucking problem.
Right. Well, ethics are not going to be something that holds anybody up in this administration. But I think about Tucker Carlson.
Exactly.
Here he is, rah. I remember a time when the Republicans were so anti-Soviet Union, Russia. They browbeat the shit out of it. And now you have J.D. Vance that thinks we should just cede, that Ukraine should just cede to Russia. So what does that mean for Poland? What does that mean for the world order? So now we're looking at leadership in charge with propagandists who are going to be occupying the space around Donald Trump's head. We have Putin, who's obviously far better at manipulation, long-term planning than Trump. And now we have a checkers versus chess match here. So Marco Rubio, has he completely changed? Has he succumbed to Russia? I guess we're going to find out in a big way.
I would think so, because Elon Musk, it was revealed, has had multiple conversations with Vladimir Putin over the course of the last 2 years. And over the course of the last 2 years, under Elon Musk's leadership, Twitter went from a really cool app to a complete racist, misogynist dumpster fire. I mean, it is the worst. That's how he manages things. And so everyone surrounding Trump is completely obsequious to Russian agendas. And that's terrifying. But then you have this other sect of Trumpism that, to me, is one of the more fascinating ones to watch, just because we live in the Bible Belt, and I get a kick out of how these people have been exposed for the hypocrites that they are, the religious right. Take a listen to this clip.
I'm going to move in a great spiritual awakening to call this nation back to myself.
I believe it's here right now.
It's here right now.
The awakening we've been praying, believing for, it started right there at Asbury. But now the atmosphere has been cleansed.
Yes, thank you.
The atmosphere has been cleansed. No more rainbow flags.
So that, of course, is Copeland, the nut job grifter pastor. And it's wild because, like, their biggest threat, the one thing that they campaign against, the religious right, my entire life has been gay rights.
Right.
Like, that is what they think is the complete demise of all of society. When every time I look, the people doing the seedy gay shit are religious people.
Right.
Gay people have consensual gay relationships that don't bother anyone. If you look at the Catholic Church, if you look at the Southern Baptists, if you look at the Nazarenes, you look at all these Christian summer camps, Falls Creek here in Oklahoma, rot with pedophiles, rot with sex crimes, rot with all sorts of nefarious sexual activity. And when you look at heterosexual relationships where you're free to, love who you want to love, there's no difference in those relationships with gay relationships. There's zero difference. There's zero difference. Not one is better, not one is worse. We all arrive at these relationships fucked up from our parents, dysfunctional out the wazoo, and we try to sort through and make a life together. There's no difference. I always see the most pronounced dysfunction in religious people, always, because they live these very inauthentic lives where everything is peppered with lies. And even the relationships with each other, there's this veneer of superficiality because nobody can be emotionally honest with anyone. So they go to these preachers like this and listen to that bullshit. And they feel so emboldened to be hateful towards gay people because maybe a lot of them might, watch porn from time to time and get turned, same-sex attraction. Maybe some of them are closeted gay people. Maybe they're envious because gay people are a lot more sexually liberated, particularly gay men. It's like, hey, you want to hook up? You want to do this? They don't have to go through a lot of the heterosexual mating rituals. But I think that component of Trumpism is really, really fascinating, juxtaposed with the embrace of unregulated on crack cocaine capitalism. It's kind of wild to watch these two things rise up together at the same time when they contradict one another.
It's so interesting to me, your point about gay people. They have always fought against gay people, and they are so triggered by the pride flag. And then you go to these Trump boat rallies, and there's Trump flags and Nazi flags. Nobody seems to be triggered by that. I cannot fathom why someone in their own private bedroom doing what they want to do compares to the extermination or the attempted extermination of an entire population. Those are a false equivalency in my mind. These Republicans and these evangelical fundamentalist Christians, they're waging war on marginalized people. I don't know if it's to make themselves feel better. I don't know if it comes from their rampant hypocrisy and worship of capitalism, but that is one thing that the wool has come out from my eyes, and I see clearly now the hypocrisy in the religious leadership and what they are professing they want for people and how they behave and treat people, and it could not be clearer.
I mean, I think for like my mother and I, who have always been non-religious, I always knew religious people were hypocrites. I always knew religious people, this type of religious people, were incapable of intellectual honesty. And they used all of this stuff to mask the profound lack of living an honest life and subscribing to this black and white worldview. I always knew they were hypocrites. You know why? Because the meanest people, the most judgmental people I've ever come across in my entire life are the loudest, most religious people. They're intolerant, they're judgmental, and they have to have a unifying group of people to hate. But to your point about the Nazi flags, during Hitler's Germany, they rounded up homosexuals and threw them in concentration camps too. It wasn't just Jewish people that they threw in. That was the, overwhelming majority that filled concentration camps. But if you were gay or quote unquote, opposition to Hitler, quote, enemy from within, you were going to the concentration camps too. So that's why I think that they are strange bedfellows here, because all of the bullshit about Jesus means forgiveness, and for some people it is that, and some people actually live that. Like, we walked past a church in Boston and it had a Black Lives Matter flag, a trans flag, et cetera. It was like an Episcopalian church. Everybody's welcome here. But the loudest religious people are the most hateful, that want to consolidate every marginalized person as their enemy and chunk them all in together. So it makes sense to me why they would embrace the Nazi flag, because the Nazi flag represents their values.
That's terrifying that that's now in power.
I know. All right. We'll see you guys later. It's so